Hello and welcome to Disney with the Ducks. I'm your host for tonight, Lonnie G, and I am joined by Jody B. How are you doing today, Jody?
I'm fantastic, Lonnie. How are you?
Better than I deserve. So tonight we'll be finishing Jody's epic Alaskan cruise trip report. This is episode 130. But before we get started, be sure to like and follow us on the socials, Disney with the Ducks on Facebook and on Instagram. Remember to subscribe if you like and give us a like if you like this video on YouTube. And if you can give us a review, we would greatly appreciate it. Hey, we like 5 stars, but any constructive feedback you can give, we would love to have it because we want to make the show better, right? I mean, we still new to this. We only did 130 episodes, right? So we still mess up. If it's probably something negative, send it to Jeff. He usually handles all our negative things most of the time because it's about him. So, it just makes sense that he should get them directly. If you have anyone you want to kick off the show, you send that to Gene because we've been trying to get him off for the longest and we can't. So, like bad grass and weeds, he just pops back in. But then I digress. So, 5 stars. Please leave us a review and we'll get to it. So, Jody,
Yes, sir.
day three, 7/31, so July 31st. I've been looking forward to talking about this day because this is the glacier viewing day, right?
Yes.
So, but something else happened very important to start this morning off. Why don't you tell us about that?
All right. So Glacier Viewing Day is a little confusing because it's not a port day, but it kind of is a port day. So this is probably the day that I was most confused about before booking this trip and like talking to people because everyone kept saying, well, you get off the ship and you get on a smaller ship and you go see the glacier. And I'm like, but it's not a port. So it's not a port. You're not stopping at a city or anything, but it is the big, huge glacier viewing day. Couple of things to note. You do not know which glacier you go to until that morning. They don't know because of obviously weather is a huge impact in Alaska. So they're cleared to go to one of the glaciers. So there's no guarantee which one you're going to go to. Turns out that our cruise, we went to Dawes Glacier. But before we even got close to the glacier,
Mhm,
the
mhm,
morning started off with
mhm.
the best thing in all of Disney Cruise Line mornings. And Lonnie G, you and I both have a passion for this item. What is the best thing on Sea Day that you only get on Disney Cruise Line? Or at least as far as I know, you only get it on Disney Cruise Line?
Those would be the world famous, some may call them infamous, Mickey Churro waffles.
Mickey Churro waffles.
Love them. They're my fave. They only do it usually one day of a cruise, so make sure you don't miss out on that day. It's funny. It's one of those things when you get on a cruise. I remember we were going to breakfast, and somebody got in the elevator and they just turned to me and said, "Today is Mickey Churro waffles." And I was like, "Really?" Because you don't know that day, right? It's kind of surprising to you. But I was like, "Really?" She's like, "Yeah." One of my friends sent me a message because we were going to sleep in, but we're going. And I was like, "Well, shoot, we're going too. There you go." But they are fantastic. So if you have an opportunity, get you a Mickey Churro waffle.
Yeah.
Get many of them. Let's see, got a bunch of them. Just put a bunch of them on the plate.
And I'm not a really big like sweet breakfast person. I tend to go more to the savory, like eggs Benedict or salmon, smoked salmon or something. But I eat these. They're delicious. So I went to breakfast by myself. Everybody else was still asleep because I knew that not only is Glacier Viewing Day an important day that you could take this small little boat and go closer to the glacier, but it's also the day that all the Disney characters are dressed in their Alaska gear and they're out on the top decks getting pictures with the beautiful Alaska scenery in the background. And so, crazy girl here,
Mhm.
this was my high priority. Not, I mean, the glacier was cool, don't get me wrong. But I wanted to see all the characters in their Alaska stuff. Um, so I got up early for breakfast, ate breakfast by myself. I got in line at 8 a.m., which was probably a little psychotic. Um, I don't think I needed to be there that early. I think 8:30, maybe 8:25, 8:30 probably would have been fine. but I was first in line.
Hmm.
We run Disney people. We know how to get up early and do things.
Yes.
So, but what happens is you start on one side, and forgive me, but we started on starboard side
Mhm.
for Mickey, and then before Mickey's line was over, Minnie's line started on port side. So, in order to get over to Minnie, to get finished with Mickey and get over to Minnie, you had to be one of the first like 10 people in line, or else there's no way you would have gotten back to the other character. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. So they don't, they literally kind of stagger them a little bit
Exactly.
so that you can't, just get like a whole big all of them there. Then you can just go from line to line. They staggered a little bit. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So I was just sitting there looking, I had my camera, I had binoculars, I was looking out at the water, seeing what we could see. We did see a lot of whales on this day. This was probably one of the first days that we saw a ton of whales. This day was also incredibly cold. It was definitely our coldest day. I had been warned that glacier viewing day was going to be really, really cold. People weren't kidding. And all the pictures that you see us posted, we're all wearing matching buffalo plaid shirts.
Hmm.
What you don't see is we all had our winter coats and everything else. And before the picture, we take it all off, throw it on the ground, get the picture, and then put it all back on.
Okay. So you convinced the family. You got in line. You ate breakfast first, right?
Yeah,
Which, kudos to you. Now, I didn't ask you this. Did you have early seating or late seating for dinner?
we had early seating for dinner. And that was
Okay.
also a big thing that we debated back and forth on. I had been told that it's better to have late seating for Alaska because your port times are some of your ports, you're there much later in the evening. But being East Coast and already being 4 hours behind, I'm like, I don't know that we're going to make it to late seating. I mean,
Yeah.
I just thought that was going to be too late for us. So I just didn't think that was a good idea. So,
Yeah. We've always had early seating. You'll find I've heard that if late seating is good because there's fewer kids,
yeah.
more adults, more quality time, more tables for two. So, but we've always done the early seating. And when you get to the late seating, the 8:30 seating or so, kids are usually sleeping at that time, right? So, but it's good. So you went eat. You called them and said, "Hey guys, put on your plaid shirts. Get up here right now. I'm in line for Mickey." And they
Yeah.
came up. All right,
So
good deal.
they knew their deadline was they needed to be to me in line by 8:50 a.m. So I gave them plenty of time. I was like, I'll sacrifice. I'm going to eat my churro waffles first. I'll get in line at 8 a.m. You all have to be here dressed in your shirts at 8:50. And I had made a big deal out of it. Like, I don't ask for a lot as your mom or your wife, depending on which person I was talking to, but I'm like, this is important to me. And you're going to show up and do as mom says, because this is the one thing that I want. So,
Look, this is Christmas card material. They have to show up for this. I mean, let's be honest. This
yeah,
is Christmas card material.
it
How
is.
often you have that? You're only going to see them in that outfit on a Disney cruise. So
Exactly.
you can't miss that. You have to have it. So I understand wholeheartedly.
Yeah. So the wind was really strong. It was really cold. What's crazy about that is I thought I was like, it was kind of cloudy that day. We were talking later to the DVC guides, and they said that was one of the warmest days they've ever had for glacier viewing day. So I just can't even, I mean, yeah, I guess it gets a lot colder. So, I guess we were very lucky with how not freezing it was. But again, like there's pictures of Lindsay, like she's got blankets over her, and then for the picture, again, just drop it. They're used to it, right? Everybody has all their stuff on. People take it all off. They drop it in a pile, and you get your picture and go. Um, so the characters we saw, we started off with Mickey on starboard side, and he was wearing his fisherman yellow Mickey outfit. And then Minnie was in her Eskimo outfit and she was on port side. Then we jumped back over and we did Daisy. I think Daisy was next on starboard side and she was in some buffalo plaid. So, of course, she loved our buffalo plaid. And then we saw Donald, who was super cute. He also had on his buffalo plaid with a little vest and he was really excited to see us and be all matched. Then Lindsay quit. She was freezing and tired and over it.
Tap out.
She tapped out.
Mhm.
So then Tim and Landon and I then also met Goofy, who was skier Goofy. He was in some white with ski goggles. That was pretty fun. And Pluto, who I forget what Pluto had on right now. I'm so sorry, I can't remember. So that lasted until 1 o'clock.
Wow.
So
Okay. So you're outside in the cold from 8 to 1.
Yeah.
How
Well,
was the line
I
that day?
was.
Like, when they got later, was it a lot of people trying to get those pictures, or how was it?
Yeah, so hold on, let me just make some clarity here. I was in that line the whole time. I was super nice, and I would tell my family, "Go sit in the warm, like, hallway for a minute, come back out." They also had lots of hot chocolate out for everybody. There's a lot of hot chocolate on the ceiling. So they had carts out with hot chocolate and stuff. They had, cookies, and so there were plenty of places to, like, warm up and things. Listen, you don't have to do it the way that I did it. I was just really this was like I said, this was important to me that I did this and that we got online for these things. We saw the characters and but that is how long it took me. So from 9 AM technically was the first character and we ended at 1.
Okay. So, okay, let me ask you this. This is a very important question. I think the audience wants to know this.
Yes, sir.
It was very cold that day. Did Landon have any ice cream that day?
He absolutely did have ice cream
So
that
ice cream watch continues. Ting ching, he had another one. Even in the cold, he
even in
had
the cold.
a deal.
Yep.
Okay, he's a trooper. Okay, I want to make sure.
The other really cool thing that day is like that's the first day we saw major hunks of ice in the water. And you just can't get a perspective on how large they are until you realize, they're probably the width of or the length of like 4 cabins long, and ship cabins. So once you see them and you're like, oh my gosh, that's crazy, like how big these big, huge chunks of ice are. And there's waterfalls, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. Now, our family chose not to do the small boat excursion, and, because it's $300 a person. So you multiply that by 4, and it's a 3-hour boat ride to get closer to the glacier, and we made a different decision later in our cruise to kinda put all of our money into one excursion, and I'll get to that in a little bit, but so that's why we didn't do this. Our kids said to us they're glad we didn't do it. They thought meeting the characters and being on the ship was really awesome, and we ended up getting, I thought, pretty gosh darn close to the glacier. Like, our pictures are pretty great. So I I know that that's a really neat excursion and that you learn a lot and that you get a lot closer. I just couldn't justify it for $300 a person for a 3-hour tour, to get closer to something that we were already seeing. It just didn't add up for me. Plus, we saw this amazing rainbow from our room. There was this awesome rainbow right out of our stateroom that was so cool. So, yeah. Um, we also spent after meeting the characters, we spent a lot of time on our veranda that day, just taking it all in because it was just the sights were just amazing. So,
I mean, look, that's a wise decision, right? You have to the cruise. Hey, what we're gonna do, what we're gonna allocate our funds for, and like you said, you could see everything from the ship. And I'm
yeah,
sure in that little boat, right? You're in the ship. You're gonna get in the little boat. I don't know how the water was. If it's probably calm on the channel, or whatever, but it's probably pretty cold in there as well.
yeah.
So I'd rather,
I mean, we've heard great reviews on it, and if money was no object, we probably would have done it. But you have to make choices and decisions, and so instead, we made a choice to go to mixology at 3 o'clock.
what? You can't go wrong for that. Guess what? That's only $40 a person, 40 or 50. I don't remember. So there you go.
Yeah.
Um,
So we did go to mixology. Now, pre-COVID mixology, Lonnie, you remember it. What's the fun thing about mixology?
but they would call you up so that you can actually put the stuff in and start shaking it and do it
Yeah.
yourself, right? So
Yeah.
that's pre-COVID was the way to go.
Yeah. Pre-COVID, you mixed each one of your drinks by,
Mhm.
at least my cruises, that's how we did it. This time there was a cart and a volunteer would come up and mix that drink. So only one person in the audience got to come up. Everything else was pre-poured. I did volunteer, of course, because it was like a chocolate martini. So I'm like, oh, I'll be happy to mix that because then you got the extra drink too. So I was like, yeah, bonus. I want that one. So it was good. I still miss the post or the pre-COVID days. Our friend Jared and Stacy, they said on their cruise, they did the whole mixing on their mixology class. So I don't know if it's ship to ship or if it's whoever's leading the class or whatever. But so it was good, but it was not my favorite mixology class. So
Our last cruise, we had Big Mama. She was our instructor for the mixology course, and she did everything herself, her and her team. So we didn't even get up for that one. But
oh
the
wow.
whole time she was, and she's retired now. She was the best. and this was her last cruise that we're on. So she was leaving after that. So maybe she wanted to just knock it all out herself. But um, we didn't get up either.
Yeah.
Now, as to make it up to us, she did make the drinks to me incredibly strong, but you make where you don't want to get up, right? But yeah, so it just depends, I think, on the ship and your actual your instructor what they want to do. So
Yeah.
good deal. So
Yeah.
mixology, you got the chocolate martini. You volunteered.
Yep. And then
So
we had Triton's again that night. It was the freezing the night away menu, which I wasn't all that excited about. I think I had the salmon, it was fine. And then they did the frozen freeze the night away show on deck 9 and 10. So that's for the Caribbean cruises. What is it that night? Like it's pirates.
pirate night. Mm-hmm.
Pirate night is awesome, right? There's fireworks, there's
Fireworks.
like it's super cool. And I'd been warned that freezing the night away is not that, and it's not that. I knew there would not be fireworks because you're in Alaska and it's going to upset the environment and the animals. So I was prepared for that, but the show was not as impressive as I was hoping it would be. It was a little lackluster. But it was fine. I mean, we went. Um, that night, we I don't know what the main show was, or if it was just the freezing the night away. I know that Tim and I went to the adult area, and oh no, we all went to the main thing that night, and it was the John Armstrong, who was the tiny plunger guy magician
Okay. Yeah.
show. We've seen him before. He was pretty funny. I mean, we had a really good time. We were cracking up laughing. The kids were laughing. So that was it wasn't a Disney show, but he was funny. So
I think it goes to say one thing I think is a really good tip. Check your navigator. There are some great things going on all the time.
yeah.
And some stashed away in some of the halls, and you can see characters, right? They'll just randomly pop up in the hall, but they'll have it on the navigator app. But you'll see things like the magician and things of that nature over in some of the lounges. So that's a great thing to check. Just make sure you keep checking your navigator app. There's always something to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was Glacier Viewing Day. That was Wednesday.
Okay. Okay. Now when we were talking, you also gave another tip in regards to French Quarter, and you guys went over there and got something.
Oh yeah. So one of the big things so Tim and I are big wine people. We really, really like wine. So we went back to French Quarter with our favorite bartenders, and we just said, "Hey, do you guys have anything in the sommelier bin?" And the sommelier bin is the stuff up from Palo that perhaps they opened a night or two earlier. They opened a glass for somebody, and then the bottle's sitting there. So after a day or two, if they're not selling it, any of the bars can sell it at half off, and you get whatever is remaining in the bottle. So for us, it was they had only served one glass. So there were 3 glasses of wine left in that bottle. And what I really like about it is they mark the bottle with your room number. So you purchase the bottle then, which is it's more economical than buying a glass of wine. So you buy the reduced rate, and then they put your number on it, and you can just get a glass, and you can come back 3 days later and ask for your wine, and they're going to pour you a glass of your own wine out. So if you're a wine person, if you do like wine, Cheryl, I'm looking at you. Don't forget to ask at any of the bars. Apparently they can look for the sommelier bin. And, you just never know what's going to pop up there.
Nice. So good tip. You guys had a good Wednesday. So now Thursday, Skagway Day.
Skagway was so technically the first official port. So again,
Okay.
Glacier Viewing Day is not considered a port, but it kind of is because you can get off the ship, but you're just getting on a smaller boat. So Skagway was the first time like the actual Disney Wonder parked, and there's a gangway and you get off the ship. So our port time was 7:15 a.m. to 8:00 p.m. So that's a long port day if you choose to be out there. So again, that's why a lot of people said instead of early dinner, they like late dinner, because then you can really be at port all night. Or you could just skip dinner. You don't have to come back to the ship and eat dinner if you don't want to. There are a lot of empty tables that evening, so plenty of people skip. We decided to sleep in a little bit that day. We've been going kind of hard, so everybody needed a little bit of a rest. We also did a little laundry. and we did not have any paid for excursions this day. Again, saving it all up for a day soon. So um, we decided to hike the Upper Dewey Lake. I kind of regret this. Um, I read my notes afterwards, and it turns out I was supposed to have gone to the old gold mining cemetery and do a hike there to a waterfall. And I got confused, and we did the Upper Dewey Lake hike to the waterfall. So I did the wrong waterfall hike, and I think my family was ready to murder me. Um, it was a long, hard hike. This was not for beginner hikers. Um, I would definitely suggest if you want to do a hike, do the lower Dewey Lake, not the Upper Dewey Lake. Upper Dewey Lake was, I mean, it was 5.5 miles.
Oh yeah, that's not vacation. This is supposed to be a vacation. That seems like a lot of work.
Yeah, it was a lot of work. The one really cool thing, so when we got, gosh, maybe a half mile up the mountain, there was this really cool overlook, and our DVC guides happened to be walking back down. They had already hiked, and they were walking back down the ship or towards the ship, and they offered to take our picture for us. So we got this really awesome photo kind of above with looking at the ship below, which was great. We also thought it was going to be super cold that day. It was not. We were entirely overdressed. We were stripping off clothes left and right. This is when they say dress like onions when you're in Alaska, so you can take stuff on or put stuff on, or take stuff off or put stuff on. We were definitely doing that. Tim was in shorts, but within 45 minutes, honestly, in Alaska in shorts. Like we were in short sleeves. We then were carrying so much crap. We were like, pardon me, so much stuff. We were like pack mules. It was ridiculous how much stuff was in here because we kept taking stuff off because we were burning up. So, yeah. Again, most people in Skagway take a train. There's a train that takes you up to the Yukon, and you can go up to the train and see beautiful sights. We decided not to do the train. I think my kids would probably have been staring at their phones the entire time and not really being present in the moment. So that's why we didn't want to do the train. I had heard there was a train up, and then you could have taken a car down, and the car stops at various places. That could have been pretty cool. I probably would have looked at something like that instead. The town of Skagway is really neat. There's a lot of shops. I was a little shocked to see that there were so many like diamond outfitters and jewelry and like kind of what you see more in a Bahamian cruise. I was a little surprised to see that in Skagway. But kind of once you got off the beaten path, there was kind of the cute old townsy, gold rushy type stuff. So it was a neat little town. There was a brothel that everybody likes to go to. We ended up not going there. Everybody was pretty tired after our hike. A former brothel, I should
Oh,
say.
but sounds like I don't know if
Not an active
bringing the kids there would be.
Yeah, and they do tours and show you what it used to be like.
Okay,
It's
I'm
called
glad.
Red Onion.
I'm glad we
Sorry, yes, sorry. We grabbed a beer at the Skagway Brewery and a Klondike bread, which is kind of like this gigantic elephant ear. Everybody kept saying we had to do it, so we did. It was good. And then, we kind of walked around the town, but we were pretty done after our hike.
After that 5.5 mile excursion that you took, I was probably done then. But
yeah, everyone was ready to kill me. So then we went back to the ship. We all desperately needed a shower and got ready for dinner that night, which was at Animator's Palette. So again,
okay.
A lot of people did not get back on the ship until much later that night. So, but we were, again, I think we were all kind of hungry and tired, and we just wanted to we were really hungry that night. So our servers, I felt like this night they were really on top of our game. I don't know if we said to them, we're starving. And so they just started bringing stuff quickly, where I felt like the rest of the time they were a little bit slower with us. So we never had lunch that day. So we were all pretty hungry. And I thought our meal at Animator's Palette was great. It was actually one of the better meals I think we had the entire cruise. So it was awesome. And then that night, This was really cool. I've never had this happen before. The DVC guides hosted a DVC only kind of happy hour up at the Cove Cafe. So at 7 o'clock, so we didn't get up there till like 7:30 because of dinner. You could either get a coffee or a beverage. On them, which was great. And they just sat and chatted with us. And we talked about member only cruises and we talked about different sailings they've done and, the different DVC stuff. So it wasn't a formal presentation. It was just chatting with friends. It was really nice. And that was they just told us about it. It's not like it was on the app or anything. They were just like, hey, we're going to host this happy hour at 7 o'clock. We're like, okay, we'll be there.
You ain't got to tell me. Right?
So that was, I would definitely make sure if you're a DVC, get to know your guides, stop at the booth every day, chat with them, get to know them because you never know. You may have a happy hour that you get to attend. So
good deal. So
yeah.
Dinner at Animator's Palette, which is one of my favorite restaurants on the ship.
And I really like the classic ship Animator's Palette.
Mm-hmm.
I love the Dream and the Fantasy Animator's Palette, but I really like them on the Wonder. This is our second time on the Wonder, and I like the animation there. I like what it does there. I like the small. I like it a lot. So we were pretty happy to be at Animators.
Good deal. Good deal. Now to end the night, you did something that's unique to Disney Cruises in Disney Cruise Line. And what was that?
We went to go see a movie.
Okay.
They were showing two movies that were at that time were both out in theaters. So they were showing Inside Out 2 and they were showing Deadpool, both on the ship. Deadpool, they were checking IDs. So
I'm glad.
so neither one of my kids wanted to go see Deadpool, but if they did, they couldn't have gone without us.
Mm-hmm.
So we went to go see Inside Out 2 in the Walt Disney Theater, which was great. It was just relaxing and after a long day hiking, and we knew our next day was going to be really action packed. So it was nice to just watch a movie. Of course, Landon and Tim had popcorn, and they had the Pizza Planet popcorn bucket. I show up, and of course, Tim bought it for them. So whatever. So
and look, if you think the popcorn in the park is good, the popcorn on the cruise line is better, right? Because it's continually popping. It's hot. One of the things, if you go and there's a movie that's about to be released, like you see Deadpool was pretty new, Inside Out 2 was pretty new. But sometimes, I've been on the ship and we've seen Aladdin, right? Live action Aladdin. It was supposed to come out that weekend. We saw it the night before, right?
Yeah.
So in same thing, we're on the ship and we saw the last Indiana Jones movie. It was supposed to come out that Friday. We saw it Thursday, right? So they do that. They'll have a premiere the day before, and you can get some hot buttery popcorn in a souvenir container if you like. So good deal.
But it is that's one of the few things you have to pay for. So
not the movie, but the popcorn.
The popcorn,
popcorn you have to pay for, and you can get and you can do the same as the park, the refillable, because I just refill constantly.
Yeah, and Tim and I ended up having quite a lot of fun with that Pizza Planet. We turned the light on and we were driving it around places. Yeah, so it ended up being a fun little toy.
Sometimes I'll just my last cruise, I can open my door and smell the popcorn, and I'll be like, I'm going to get some popcorn.
Yeah, popcorn for breakfast. Forget about the waffles.
Yeah, so good deal. So now Friday, another excursion day, and I think this is a really big one for you guys.
This was the big one.
This is the big one.
Remember how I said I wasn't spending the money on the glacier viewing day, and I didn't spend any money on Skagway on an excursion because I decided to put all of our funds into this day.
Okay.
So Juneau, our port time that day was 6:45 a.m. to 4:45 p.m. So pretty early port day. So we were up early. I made sure everybody ate breakfast and then we were off the ship. So in Juneau, so we were starboard side and our view at the port was pretty industrial and like looking at shipping containers. It was not very pretty. The other side was a little bit better, port side, but ours was kind of but then you're not in walking distance to anything. So they have a free bus that picks you up from the Disney ship and takes you kind of to the hub of where everything is in Juneau. You can walk it. We saw people walking it later that day, but the bus is totally free and it runs very often. So I don't know why you wouldn't just take the bus.
It's like a tram, right? Just think of it like a Disney tram.
Yeah, so we definitely took the bus, and it dropped us off. I don't know how to explain that. It was kind of the hub, is what I would just kind of call it. There were a lot of people yelling out, like, "Do you want to go see whales? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that?" I'm like, "No, no, we've got our stuff booked. Thank you." We booked a helicopter ride to a glacier and then dog sledding. And I did book this separately outside of Disney Cruise Line. I typically don't do that, but I had booked an 8 a.m. helicopter ride, and I knew our port time wasn't until 4:45. So I knew I had plenty of wiggle room there. I knew we were in a United States port. We were in Alaska, so worst case scenario, I'm still in the United States. If
Yep.
something should happen, I'm not in some foreign country. So I felt fairly confident booking it on my own. And it was a savings from booking it directly through Disney. So I typically don't book things on my own on other excursions, but I did in this case scenario. We booked through Coastal Helicopters. There are quite a few different companies there. Quite frankly, I think I booked through them because they had the time slot and the amount of people that we needed. I had to book for 4 people. So that's, I think, why I chose them. I had heard earlier was better because later in the day, if weather moves in, a lot of them get canceled. So that's why I wanted to do something early at 8 a.m. I also knew that I wanted to try to do 2 excursions that day. So if our timing worked out, I was going to try to make that work out too. So we took that free bus to the hub area. The Coastal Helicopters people were right there waiting for us. Then we got on their shuttle bus and they took us out to Juneau Airport. While we were driving, we saw quite a few bald eagles. Was that where Landon saw the bear? I can't remember. He saw a bear at some point in time. I can't remember if it was that part or a different part. And then we get to the Coastal Helicopters and you listen to their safety thing. They gave you boots to put over your own shoes, which is awesome. So you don't take your shoes off. They're kind of like thick rubber, but they had a nice grip on them. So they asked your shoe size and it goes over your own gym shoe. So we didn't need heavy boots or anything like that because they provided it all for them. We did have on plenty of layers, knowing we were going on top of a glacier. We thought it was going to be cold. It is normally rainy and not nice. We had gorgeous blue sunny skies to the point that everybody was like, yeah, this is crazy. It's never like this. The dog sledding people told us it had been 3 weeks since they had had any sunshine. So where we're taking stuff off because we're warm because the sun's out, the guy said to us, had this been yesterday, you would have wanted all those layers. So I don't regret packing them all. We just didn't happen to need them for our time because we were really lucky and got sunny weather. So I think normal Alaska, having all the rain gear and all the layers is really important, but we didn't need it. So
yeah, it's why it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Right?
yeah.
So
Yep.
good deal. So went there, did your dog sledding, you did the helicopter ride. Then from there, I guess about lunchtime. What did you guys eat?
So just I'll post a video of the helicopter and the dog sledding. It's pretty amazing. Like it's like nothing I've ever seen or I will ever do again. It's the number one. You ask our kids and they'll say immediately the helicopter and the dog sledding was, and our kids only thought we were doing the helicopter. They didn't know we were doing the dog sledding until we got there. So they had no clue. We hadn't told them. 250 dogs up there on that glacier, by the way. So quite a few.
Yeah, you need to go around and just pet all those dogs. Right? Can I pet that dog? The funny thing about that is my wife and I went dog sledding in Alaska. And when I saw those dogs for the first time, I was like, are these dogs okay? I don't know if you now that because they were like real small. And I'm used to, you like you see the movies or something, and it's like, oh, you see the Huskies over here. Number one, they don't look like Huskies over there. And I remember the guy says the problem is the dogs that you guys have are fat. And I was like, well, that's I don't think I want to call them fat, but he's like, no, these how they, because we had some champion dogs there. He said these how they're supposed to look. So your dogs over there are not right. They're big. He said they're fat. He said these are because I was like, I don't think they look kind of small to be pulling this sled, but they took off and they love doing it.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
and
they
then
loved
stop.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then stop. So there you go.
Well, it's kind of looking at like an Olympic marathoner and then looking at us, right? Like Olympic marathoners,
I
little,
mean, I don't like running
you
myself,
know,
so I'll be
maybe.
that dog that doesn't want to run. There you go.
Yeah, so that was weird. We had a great musher. We had a great experience. It was everything I wanted it to be and then some. And then because it was such an amazing sunny day, our pilot took us on a different route home, and we had these just incredible views, and it was really awesome. Like I'm glad we decided to put a lot of our chips into this excursion because it was definitely worth it.
Yeah, that seems like a core memory. That sounds like
Oh,
a really, really good adventure. And I think it worked out for you guys with the nice weather as well. Like I said,
yeah.
it never usually happens. You guys got a chance to see more.
My only asterisk I'm gonna put by this is, I would say if you're a little skittish around dogs or maybe you're not comfortable with dogs, this may not be the excursion for you because they really do encourage you to love on the dogs and pet on the dogs and touch the dogs and see the dogs. And if you just and they're pretty energetic. So if you have any fear of not chihuahua sized dogs, of anything a little larger, and you're kind of not that comfortable with dogs, maybe don't do this. Because they really do want you to like they stop halfway through the sledding and you're supposed to like get out and see the dogs and love on them and stuff. So
I mean, dogs need love too, right? We
yeah.
don't deserve them. We're fortunate to have them. Love
Yes.
the dog.
Yep. So
Okay.
so
So
that's awesome.
lunchtime.
Yeah, so then they drove us back to the kind of the hub area. We also got to see the whale statue. They drove us past the whale statue, which was the water was running, and our driver actually grew up in Juneau and from Juneau. She's like, this isn't on very often. Like this, she's like, I actually can't remember the last time I saw the water running on the statue. So that was really cool. So it was this gigantic humpback whale statue that is pretty famous. So that was cool to see that and see the water running. Apparently that's not normal. So then they would have dropped us anywhere, but we decided to kind of go to the hub area. And then we went to Alaska Brewing Company for lunch. We had a fantastic lunch and we sat outside right on the water, saw the planes landing on the water and taking off in the water. You could see other cruise line ships. We had some little halibut bites. Like it was just awesome. Like it was just a perfect lunch outside, enjoying the weather and all the Alaskaness. I mean, it was really great.
Good deal. Awesome.
Yeah.
So after that, what else
After
did you
that,
guys
we
do?
had another excursion.
Oh, you guys packed a lot in this day.
We did. So Mendenhall Glacier is kind of the famous glacier. It's part of national parks, and that's where everybody goes. And I had said I really wanted to go see Mendenhall Glacier, which it turns out we were on the other part of Mendenhall Glacier when we were doing our excursion. So now we booked again an outside tour company, and they picked us up in a bus and they drove us all up there. And our tour guide was awesome, explaining a lot of things. So here's a big tip. A lot of people think they're just going to take the Juneau local city bus to take them to Mendenhall. Don't do that. That bus drops you off probably a mile and a half from the entrance of the Mendenhall Glacier, like National Park entrance, and it's an uphill walk.
Mm.
And the bus apparently is not, it's a city bus, so it's taking people to work and doing what it's supposed to be doing. And I guess it can get crowded and people can be late and miss it. And it's so I'm really glad that we booked separately. I had heard podcast that about this place, and I forgot the name of the company. I'm happy to share it afterwards if someone's interested. But I'm glad we booked separately. The other thing is, I'm really glad that we booked at 12:15. When it was a 2-hour excursion at Mendenhall Glacier, which was more than enough time. Actually, we probably could have cut a half an hour off of that. A Royal Caribbean ship showed up, and they had 7,600 passengers.
Ooh, that's a big ship.
And when we were leaving Mendenhall Glacier, our bus driver showed up with the bus packed in every single seat and then some of everybody from Royal Caribbean. And the buses were just coming one after another, after another, after another. When we went, it was us and one other family on the bus. So, if not that everybody else's cruises and there's cruise times, but that would be a place where if you're going to do Mendenhall, I would get there early and try to knock that out because it was swelling with people. I mean, the town, we had a great lunch at Alaska Brew Company. You probably wouldn't be able to get a seat later in the day. It was just that many more people everywhere.
Okay, so start early, finish early, basically.
Yeah. Yep.
That is a good tip.
It was awesome. It was a really incredible day, and I don't regret anything about it. It was great.
Okay. So dinner, was it back on the ship or did you stay out?
We decided to do dinner back on the ship. It was because shore time was 4:45, so we had to be back on the ship. So 4:45 was you had to be back. We did see people walking back. Again, we took the free shuttle bus, because why not? We had dinner that night at Tiana's, and this was the Mardi Gras menu. We had excellent shrimp and grits as an appetizer, although, Lonnie, I don't know what you would think of it.
Yeah, I need to sample that myself before I give it the.
A great ahi tuna tartare that was good. Surprisingly enough, the chicken dish was the winner of the table. I think that was a night like Tim and I were debating between the chicken, and our server was like, you know what? I'm just going to bring one for the table and you guys can all share it. And it was the best thing we had. So I'm really glad he did that for us because it was quite delicious. The little bit of a bummer, the beignets that everyone was talking about were not so great. So they were no French Quarter beignets from the parks, but they were fine. But the band was great. The performance was great. Tiana was great. We got up and danced. I mean, it was super fun. So really fantastic atmosphere and fun evening at Tiana's that night.
Okay. Now, once again, we must know, did Landon have ice cream this day?
He did. He did.
Ding, ding, ding. So once again, his totals just continue to add up, right? I mean, you can't stop him. All you can do is hope to contain him.
Yeah.
And he is continually knocking down these soft serves. So
yes. That night after dinner was the Frozen musical show, which, speaking of Landon, he despises. He
doesn't like Frozen, so I'm
not like Frozen. So we promised Lindsay that we would go see it with her. I embarrassingly fell asleep during the show. I was tired, right? It's been a long couple days. So Tim tolerated it, Landon skipped it, and I slept. So, but
did Landon go to a movie or something?
I don't know what he did. He probably just went back to the room, or he probably got more ice cream. I don't know what he did. But that night, finding seats for that show, you definitely want to get there early because every little kid in the universe was there. So yeah. And then that night, Tim and I went back to Azir, which is kind of the adult area, and the ventriloquist who was performing the following night was there that night doing an adult version of his show, which was really pretty funny. So Taylor Mason was his name, and we've seen him before too, but he was pretty good. So I really like going to the adult area. They have some good stuff there.
Oh yeah, we stay in the adult area. I guess another good tip may be, if you're going to that Frozen show, go to the early show, because a lot of kids are eating the early seating, right? So you may have less kids there for the early show, because the second show, which usually takes place during the late seating, that's the one that's probably all the kids leave from there and leave from dinner and go over there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So awesome day though. Really, we packed it all in. It was a great day.
All right, next day, right? Saturday, August 3rd. Tell us about that day. What did you do?
Catch a can, which
catch a can. Okay.
Landon's favorite place to say, "Catch a can."
Mhm.
He couldn't wait to get there just to say, "Catch a can." Um, Port time that day was 11:15 AM to 6:45 PM, so not, we got to sleep in a little bit. Nobody needed to get up super early. Well, except for me, I couldn't sleep, so I got up and I went for a run on deck 4, which is my favorite thing to do, and,
Mm.
nothing like running on deck 4 and seeing whales. Like, that's really cool. Like, I don't get to do that very often.
Mhm.
There's not a whale on my normal running route, so
Mhm.
just going for a little jog. Hi, whale. Go for another little jog. Hi, whale. And people are really great. Like, they'll tell you, "Oh my gosh, I just saw a whale over here." And so people will kind of um, let you know if they see some. So it was really awesome. So Ketchikan is an incredibly rainy city. They get 250 inches of rain a year.
Oh,
So again,
wow.
we're ready for rain, right? We've got all the rain gear, rain hats, rain jackets, rain everything. Beautiful, bright blue, sunny skies. Not
Hey, I mean, look, you guys just bringing the sun with you.
crazy, crazy.
Mhm.
So, I went to after my run, I went for breakfast by myself down in Triton's because here's another tip. The only place you can get berries, like blueberries, blackberries, strawberries, they're not up in Cabanas. Cabanas has the pineapple, melons, that type of stuff. So if you want a berry, you have to go to the sit down breakfast. So I went down to Triton's all by myself. Nobody else wanted to come with me and had a yogurt parfait with all the berries they could give me. So I ate all my blueberries and I was happy. So then got ready. We were getting ready to go enjoy Ketchikan. We got off the ship right at 11:15 and went straight to Alaska Fish House. I had heard all sorts of stuff about you got to get to Alaska Fish House. You got to get to Alaska Fish House. So we got off the ship and we went straight there. We were probably there by 11:30 a.m. and there was already a line. Um, so the big thing to get is the fish sampler. It's a piece of halibut, salmon, and something else, all quite delicious. Really glad we checked it out. So, but it does get crowded. So just be prepared, pack your patience, pack your, get ready for a line because it's quite long. And then we walked around Creek Street, which I absolutely fell in love with. I could have spent the entire day just at Creek Street and I would have been totally happy. Um, Picturesque and quaint and shops and cute little things. And we're not really shoppers. So it's not like we were shopping, but we were just walking around. And the best part was this is where the salmon were swimming up the stream.
Ah, okay.
Oh my gosh, we had so much fun watching them. Landon and I made it into like a video game. We're like, "That guy's at level 3. Let's see if he can make it to level 4." And I mean, we were cheering them on and I mean, it was like a waterfall and they were swimming, trying to swim up this thing. I have, you hear about it, salmon
Mhm.
swimming upstream. You just, that was I've never seen it, and I probably will never see it again, and that was so incredibly cool, and I loved it. So, I had been told that the shops on Creek Street closed a little earlier, so that's why I knew I wanted to go there first. So, we hung out a lot, and, Ketchikan was just a cool little town. I really, really liked it. They had a blueberry festival going on, and I think every single
Hmm.
person who lives in Ketchikan was out there. We didn't see one blueberry the whole time, but there was a festival. So
Yeah, I was like Blueberry Festival. Okay, well,
yeah, I don't know, but it was just really awesome. It was. I think I probably would have liked Skagway a lot better too had we not killed ourselves trying to hike so much. But I really, really loved Creek Street and everything about Ketchikan. I just loved it. So
okay, good deal. So
uh,
did all of catch a can, and then
yes.
you rolled back to the ship.
Nope, then we had another excursion.
Oh,
We
really?
did, zip lining in Ketchikan, which was really cool, don't get me wrong, I really liked it. The kids we had this is one that we let our family voted, so everybody I had printed out and this is a good tip. I'd gone onto Disney Cruise Line and looked at all the excursions and printed out all the options, and we talked them over as a family and decided what we wanted to do. I wanted to go fishing. I thought it was a very Alaska thing to do. This is a place where they do the greatest catch. You can go out. I've never watched that show, but you can do like the crab thing, go out with the greatest catch people, and they do this whole thing with that. I lost, and everybody else wanted to go ziplining, which I did. Again, I really enjoyed. It was nice, but it didn't feel very Alaska-y to me. maybe also because it was warm, like our guides were in t-shirts and shorts and we were in short sleeves and stuff, but it we could have been ziplining anywhere. Our guides were great. It was a great excursion. It's not, nothing was wrong or bad about it. It just, I think I would have preferred to do something more with whales or salmon or something. So, um, uh, but it was great. Ketchikan was a great city. Loved everything about it. So,
Hmm.
um, then we went back to the ship. We had dinner at Triton's for the third time. It was semi-formal night, which I did not love having a semi-formal night on a port night. That's too much. Like, I don't know
Mhm.
why they did that. That seemed weird to me, trying to go back and get ready for semi-formal. I wish they would have had it on a sea day. I don't know why they did it that way, but whatever.
Sea
Uh,
day would be the day to do it on. I mean, yeah.
yeah. And this is where I'm not sure if anyone's seen my video, but this is where Landon had the duck pate, which became a really, this was his second time, and he despised it. Like, I gotta give my kid credit. Like, he tried escargot. I mean, he really would try things, but discovered that he really hates pate, and he kept calling it patty. And we were all just dying laughing over Landon's experience with pate because it was not his thing.
He's like, I hate Patty.
Not his thing.
Mhm.
This was also the night with lobster tails, which, we, of course, all of us got lobster tails. So that was
Mhm.
awesome. And then we all, as a family that night, went to go see The Ventriloquist, the G-rated version, the family version in the Walt Disney Theater. And he was like, it's fun to look over at your family and see the four of us all cracking up laughing. Like, to be able to have teenagers laughing and parents laughing and just all, cracking up. I mean, we were all really laughing at him. So that was awesome. It was a great night. So, and then Tim and I ended up back at a zero watching the dual piano bar, which was good too. So
Mhm. All right. So, sound like you guys had a good dinner.
yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
It's good. And
All right. And
then finally, last day at sea.
oh, the sea day.
I know, sea day.
What
But
could make sea day better?
I don't know, Lonnie, what would make sea day better?
Well, I mean, if they would give, you know, usually on a cruise, Mickey waffles, churro waffles are only one day. But I mean, it's Alaska, right? I mean, it's different. It's a long, cruise, and going to, a bunch of other stuff. If only they would have Mickey churro waffles for a second day.
They did. So second second time we had Mickey churro waffles, and I have no idea how this happened, but Lindsay and I got them, and the boys went to breakfast later, and they didn't. So
Really?
I have no idea how. They kept saying they couldn't find them. I'm like, "How did you not find them?" Like,
You,
I would
you
have
can't
sat
miss
there
them.
I would have sat there with my plate, like,
Yeah.
my mom or my wife or whoever got these earlier today. Where are they? Like, they need to be on my plate. So
Maybe they had a limited run on
I don't know. So they didn't get them, but we did. So it was pretty awesome.
them.
The other funny thing about this day was this was the day of Jack Jack Diaper Dash, which,
Oh,
Bonnie, tell everybody what that is and how awesome that is.
yeah, that is, it is so funny. You let them race. They can't walk, they got to crawl. And usually it's awesome because you get to sit there and watch. One parent puts them down, another parent on the other end trying to call them, but they do baby stuff. So they kind of venture off the pad. They stop to play with each other, do all kind of stuff. And the winner is the one that kind of gets to the end, right?
Yeah.
So and they always, I mean, everybody cheers them on. It is hilarious. I don't know, maybe people bet on them. I don't know. I mean, I don't think Disney wants that, but you can't stop it. I mean, right? So, but yeah, the diaper dash.
Yeah.
Check it out. It is awesome.
Yeah. So, and you want to be in the atrium and kind of looking down and watching it all.
Mhm.
So there was only one baby though.
What?
Only one crawling baby. I mean, if you think about it, Alaska tends to skew more towards older kids or maybe
Mhm.
older adults because most of the excursions are, 10 and up and things. There was only one crawling baby. So
So he won, right, by default.
baby she was super cute. She still participated and she stopped halfway through. And, they were trying to get her with her pacifier to come to the other side. It was super cute, but I've never seen it before with just one baby ever.
Yeah, I
So
never saw it before.
super cute. We left crawling babies, and then Tim and I had a champagne tasting, which was awesome. And then Lonnie, what do you do after you have champagne? I mean, what's the most logical thing to do?
After you do
Especially if you're in
champagne,
Alaska.
I'm sorry.
especially if you're in Alaska. What do? You drink
Oh,
champagne and then
I would probably myself, I would have to go sit outside
oh,
personally.
yeah, better
Yeah.
yet, why not
Mhm.
swim outside? You know?
Mhm.
Yeah, just go for a little swim. So that's what I did. Landon and I went down we went down the twist and spout slide.
You went down the slide? Okay, I didn't expect that after the champagne.
Yeah. We went down the slide and then we swam in the pool. And yes, the pool is heated. We watched The Incredibles on the funnel vision.
So you had Jack Jack Diaper Dash, then you had champagne tasting, and then you just took the whole ship in, right? You did the water slide, you jumped in the pool, you did it all. Sounds like a really good sea
I
day.
mean, why not? While on a Disney Cruise Line, do the Disney Cruise Line things. So, went to Animators that night. We had purchased the wine package ahead of time, and we'd said to our server like, "What's the oldest bottle of red you have?" And he was able to find something a little bit older than like the 2021s that he had been serving us. So it was a 2018, which was great. So that was nice that he dug a little deep and dug a little deeper. Haha, found that, and this was by far our best meal on the entire cruise.
Really?
By far, we had the beef Wellington and rack of lamb, and they were all perfectly prepared, really well done. Like every this meal was perfect. So nice to go out on a high end rate. Um,
Oh,
we also learned a new trick from our server. They always do the little games or tricks or and this one was a wine bottle and a cork and toothpicks and forks, and you had to try to balance them all. Never seen that one before. That was pretty fun. So that was awesome. That night was the final show, and it was the Disney Dream, which was
mm.
good, but maybe a tad bit long. It's most of them are about an hour. This one was about an hour 15. I think they maybe could have cut a couple of things out, but it was a good show. The lots of variety in the songs that they sang. And then after that, they did something that I've absolutely never seen before. They did this like goodbye party out in the atrium where all the characters, first of all, a bunch of the crew came out and was waving, and a bunch of the performers came out and waving, and then all these characters started just coming out. And like, if you hadn't met a character yet, you could go get in line and see them. Like, they were all there, like the ruffians from Rapunzel, and Donna was back out, and I mean, just tons of them everywhere. Like, I've never seen that before. Maybe you have.
I've never seen that at all. But wow, that's the goodbye party. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a little chaotic because it's in atrium and people were everywhere and wanting to get their picture and running around and all that stuff. But it was actually I was super impressed with it. I thought it was really cool. What a great night to, or great way to kind of say goodbye to everybody. And then of course we had to go back to French Quarter and hang out with our two favorite bartenders, Nick and I forget the other one's name. But and then we
Josh Singer.
yeah, and then we went to silent DJ and finally went to bed. So, because then the next day is the sad day.
Oh, they have to get off.
Yeah.
Disembark day.
Yeah.
So another tip, uh, on the screens in the room, say if you didn't want to go to the actual show, they actually broadcast the show. Now I don't know if it's the actual show being shown live. I don't think it is. But during that time, you can actually watch the show that's in there. So if you can't go, if you say, "Oh, I feel kind of tired. I don't want to do this," you can still watch it in your room, or a viewing of it, which is pretty cool as well.
Or if you wanna put on your pajamas and stretchy pants and order room service for something
But yeah,
and not go anywhere, yeah, you could watch it there too. Good
yeah.
tip, Lonnie, good tip. So next morning, up early because we had early dinner. That means we had early seating for breakfast at 6:45, and then it took a while. We didn't get
Saddest day in Disney
yes,
cruise.
saddest day ever. And then we didn't get called off the ship till 8:53. So it was a lot of like sitting around that morning. Yeah, it was kind of not great. But here's my final last tip, and we'll wrap up. We had all of our luggage, and we were flying out later that night. And I had heard that you could drop it off at the Pan Pacific Hotel, which is right there in Canada Place, and that they'll charge you $5 a bag to lock up your luggage and kind of watch it for the day. And that was awesome. I had heard that down kind of more in the port that they charge you $20 a bag. So
Ew, yeah.
$5 a bag, and they had a lock on it, and then the bellmen were standing there kind of like watching over. It's just luggage, 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 all lined up from people. So even tipping the guy, that was still a savings of what if we would have paid for downstairs. So highly recommend. You didn't need a reservation or anything. You just showed up, told them, how many pieces you had, and they watched it for the day. So that was awesome. So highly recommend that.
Great tip, especially you save some money doing that.
Yeah. Yep. So that was, and then we went to Granville Island that day, and then we took a cab and went back to the airport and flew home through LAX and took a red eye, and then sad. I mean, happy to get home to see our puppy, but sad. It was a long Tuesday
A
after.
long trip back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Long trip
But
back.
overall, wouldn't have changed anything. It was awesome. Well, maybe the hiking day. I probably would have changed.
Yeah, well, I'm sure if I asked your family, they would want to change that day.
Yes, I'm sure they would have too. So
Well, thank you so much, Jody, for sharing your epic Alaskan cruise with us. Um, if you guys have any questions, they say, "Oh, you know what? I want to, I wish they would ask this," or "Can Jody give me a tip about that?" Hey, like I say, join our socials, get on our Facebook page. You can send Jody a message or put it in there, and she's very active. She will answer your questions about Alaska. So any tips that you may need, some extra tips and things of that nature, she can help you with that and help you prepare for a great Alaskan cruise. So thank you so much for sharing that.
absolutely. First, but question:
Yeah.
do you want to guess how many ice cream Landon consumed on the cruise?
I'm gonna go with 17.
Close.
Mhm.
He ended with 20 ice creams.
You know what? Bravo.
He has a growing.
Bravo to you. He went in. He was focused. He was single-minded in his approach, and he said, I'm going to put down as much ice cream as I can. 20 is a solid number. That's
Yep.
way more than I can.
Yeah, way more than I did. I can tell you that much. So
So kudos to him.
yes.
But now, guess what? It is our favorite, and we've heard this, right? We did a survey. We asked all our listeners, all three of them, which is your favorite part of the show? And they said it was quacking up with the ducks. So, Jody, can you quack us up tonight?
What do you call 50 penguins in Alaska?
I don't know. What do you call 50 penguins in Alaska?
You call them lost, really lost, because penguins live in Antarctica.
Oh, yeah, unless they're on vacation.
Yeah, unless they're on vacation too.
That's a good one. So I got one for you. What do you call an Alaskan cat on ice?
An Alaskan cat on ice. I don't know.
Permafrost.
Oh, didn't.
We are the worst.
Yeah, we are.
But we have fun, and that's all that's important. So
It is. Yeah.
So once again, Jody, thank you for sharing your trip with us. Guys, once again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Jody through the Facebook group. Thank you so much for listening tonight. And don't forget to go out and subscribe and give us 5 stars. Gene's not here to give us our fair balance statement. So hopefully the lawyers won't get upset with us when we just say Quarini.
Bye, friends.
We are the worst.
Yeah, we are.